Hi everyone, it's Dorian Kutcher with Blockheads here. We're doing another Blockheads community interview, and today we have James Young with us. Say hi, James.
Hey everyone.
Yeah, we're gonna be going to Collab.Land, his background, how he got started into blockchain. We're gonna have a lot of fun with this interview, guys. So I'm super pumped and super excited. So let's jump right in. James, if you want to introduce yourself and give us a brief overview of who you are.
Sure. Thanks for having me. Super excited about being here. I am the CEO of a company called Abridged, and we make a consumer-based product called Collab.Land. And Collab.Land is a bot that's on Discord and on Telegram that allows token holders to have private channels so that you need a certain token and a certain amount of that token, which you can configure using the bot to be able to be in a private chat. So the idea there is to help reduce the coordination costs for token holders. We're talking about like crypto-based tokens.
Oh, nice. Do you mind? So what kind of inspired this project? What inspired Collabland? How'd you get started?
Yeah, the beginning of Collab.Land actually was an experiment in DAOs, or decentralized autonomous organizations.
Oh,
And the initial thesis was, instead of creating websites and driving traffic to these sites where people could do this decentralized governance, why don't we bring the technology to users? So if you want to have a community, and instead of having that community from a DAO perspective, all go to a website and then fill things out in terms of voting and proposals, why don't you bring the DAO to them? And so this was to reduce the distribution and the kind of coordination. So instead of having, let's say, 50,000 users go to a site, if you have this huge community, what you can do is just have one community admin install the bot, and now it's available to those 50,000 users. And this is where they're
wow.
naturally already at, right? Chatting and communicating. And so initially the Collab.Land bot was is a tool so you can launch a DAO, vote on proposals and submit proposals. And we had it where on Discord, the bot would, put out a proposal, and you can emoji reply, thumbs up or thumbs down, if you wanted to vote yes or no. And the whole concept was voting is the new like. And so part of the idea as well with the Collab.Land bot was, decentralized autonomous organizations, DAOs, they're conceptually something new, but from a user experience interaction with this decade and a half of social media, we're used to voting already, whether it's liking or retweeting. And so it was trying to figure out how to put these new concepts to users, but in a very familiar way. So that was the spark of Collab.Land and the bot. And then what we saw was people didn't quite understand or couldn't grok this idea of a DAO. It was like a big conceptual leap for them. So we pared it down to just, you're all in a group together, you have the same token, you can talk to token holders, and that seems to just take off. And so we went with it. And so we're waiting for the market to mature. We're seeing the rise of these social tokens where people are, congregating together online. The backdrop of the pandemic, people are online more as well. And so, we're trying to just be, a step or maybe a quarter step ahead of the market, and see how this evolves. But I do think there is a path to bringing back all the DAO functionality that we have in Collab.Land, but just don't know when or when it will happen. So just trying to be engaged with the market, see where the market is and how it evolves, and then bring these features back off the shelf when the time is appropriate.
Makes sense. So essentially, overall, it's it's like a DAO mixed in with like Discord and like Telegram and like just kind of like these. I don't know if it works with Telegram too.
Yeah, it does.
And like, so it uses those like the voting features inside of the of those like platforms already to vote on proposals and use like this like token that exists within this ecosystem. Which is it like a complex like ERC20 token? Is it like what sort of tokens are supported?
Yeah, we support ERC20s. We also, so this is on Ethereum. So on Ethereum, we support ERC20s, ERC 721s, NFTs, and ERC 1155, which are these like batch standard for NFTs and for fungible tokens. We also support tokens on the Near blockchain. So the NFT versions, I think it's NEP 141s as well on Near. And what we're becoming from a Collab.Land perspective is multi-blockchain and multi-platform. So we support EVM-based chains, so the mainnet and side chains and test nets. And then on Near, the Near mainnet, on Discord and Telegram, those are the platforms we support. We also support Twitch. And, we had this one event where we have a Twitch bot that allows you to create these sub clips as NFTs that then get promoted through the Discord bot. So you can claim the NFTs that you mint via the live Twitch stream. So we had this one this one Twitch streamer. Her name is Blondish. She has Abracadabra, and so she was doing an Earth Day festival, and there are different clips called Magic Moments that she minted as NFTs. And once the NFT was minted on Near, the Discord bot would say, "Hey, the magic moment has been minted. Go claim it." And then you would just have to emoji reply to be able to be sent this NFT. So we're seeing this like integration across platforms and across different blockchains, and it's this emergent design. Just experimenting with this new use case to try to make like crypto much more approachable. So just to make it kind of fun. So, there are these tenets of like decentralization and, disintermediation and permissionlessness. And these are very big concepts, similar to kind of data and data privacy, which are these concepts that are more difficult to grasp. Especially if you haven't experienced that, or if you don't have a reason to like understand decentralization or permissionlessness or censorship resistance. And so what we want to do is provide these different use cases that make interacting more fun, and really provide also another use case for crypto. And we're seeing that with the mainstreaming of NFTs, where creators can have a direct connection with their fan base. Here we see Collab.Land and the bot allowing that type of interaction happen by holding tokens, by minting, and by gifting out NFTs, and also separately these community use cases when it comes to DAOs as well.
That's so cool. It's like you were able to like actually, so like you kind of like approach like interesting subject of like making crypto more approachable in different ways, like the non like crypto community, like especially. Do you think like I think the gaming like thing is really cool. It's like were you able to actually like take like really cool like game moments, like I don't know, like some awesome wombo combo in Super Smash Brothers and like mint that moment as an NFT? Like that's actually pretty brilliant to me. Do you think what have you seen, like what's been like your approach in like bringing in people who aren't at all familiar with like the blockchain, like the crypto community, like and like all these like crazy like crypto terms like NFT, a DAO, like tokens? Like what's been your approach to like bring them on board? What have you seen has been like successful so far, and what's been like the feedback and reaction to like your platform?
Yeah, there's some context here when it comes to history, which has evolved our thesis when it comes to like approaching mainstream. So with Collab.Land, initially we started with this token gated chat, and uh, there was no minting of tokens within Collab.Land. So you already have had a need for your community from a token perspective come together, and so we are able to capture like a subset of the Ethereum ecosystem. So they already had MetaMask, they already had acquired tokens, and so configuring a bot in Discord was a very easy lift for them. And so, we know that that's the core of our audience, and there are values, that kind of derive from, the cypherpunks, where you have, pseudo anonymity or full anonymity, and you have these value systems that we don't want to ignore, that we want to respect in terms of privacy, so we don't give out association or the mapping of their Discord or Telegram username with a wallet address. So we want to be very super careful about that. But then you have that juxtaposed to people that are new to crypto, that are doing it for the lols, that are fun. They want to have this magic moment and have this NFT that they want to show off. And so they want everyone to know their wallet address and what they have, right? So you have these like competing value or cultural values that could be kind of contradictory or in opposition with one another. So there's this like fine balance between the two that we're seeing emerge. So we want to make sure that we can serve both, because it's those that are the OGs that are in crypto that are going to help pay it forward for the new people that are coming in. So when it comes to onboarding users, there's this kind of persona of the user that is well versed in crypto. So we want to make sure that we have this tenets of this non-custodial management. So we don't manage private keys or anything like that. And how do you then have that type of value system, but still allow new users to come on board easily? So how do you get new users to come on and they want to just grab an NFT, but then they're like hit with like key management, and they're like, wait, what is this? And so, we have to like balance the two. And this is where our experiments on Near have been quite fascinating, because what we have is this like overall thesis of progressive decentralization. And so, onboarding and users are not a one-time thing, but it's an evolution. And so we started on Ethereum with like expert or advanced users that are already there when it comes to decentralization. And in order to like keep the tenets of decentralization intact, but also serve new users that, are just in it, are just kind of dipping their toes in, Near is great because of the account management system, where there could be shared key access, where on Ethereum, it's, externally owned accounts where you have keys, where the ownership of your wallet is like having root access to a computer. It's all or nothing. There isn't any gradient in between. Whereas in Near, you can have almost like a multi-user account. So you can have multiple keys that have limited access. So at the beginning, when a user is first dabbling, in crypto, they're not going to put their whole life savings into it. So it's okay if it's a shared account, essentially like a multi-sig, where the bot could help you along the way. And if their keys get lost or whatnot, the bot could have a recovery system to generate new keys to get the user their access back. And then from there, you have this ability to remove the bot and then just have social recovery. And this is where I think we can have this viral aspect. So you can actually make security a viral component, where you trust people, offline, like your mom, your dad, whoever, your friends, and you get them an account, and then along with the account, you can, help with social recovery with each other. So
That's
you
awesome.
can, yeah, you can map your online relationships or your account management with your offline account management. So that's kind of like intermediate mode, right? And then expert mode was you are like, okay, I put my whole life, I put everything in there. Like I'm fully focused on crypto. I'm going to take everyone out of my account. I know how to manage my keys. So, what we're seeing is the ability to kind of have parity with the user. At first, $5, whatever that amount, that small amount is to that user, they don't want to go through the burdens of like key management. Once they become more intermediate, they're like, okay, I don't know what these different services are, but I know my friends and family and I trust them. So I'm going to take these other services out and put in, people that I trust. And then ultimately they're like, okay, I want to be fully self-sovereign. So it's these type of user experiences and having this user empathy that we're working through. And I think over the next few years, as more of crypto gets mainstream, these patterns will become solidified. And so part of our job at Collab.Land is a lot of user research and a lot of like this slow, small iterations so that we can have this pathway to decentralization.
Wow.
Man.
Yeah, wow. Okay, that's like, no, that's like incredible. I mean, I also love the idea of like, kind of like these like different levels of like accessibility.
Yeah.
And like this like whole social recovery idea. It's actually really interesting. Like that can be so like you kind of see that in a way of like almost enabling kind of like a trust system for like for like families or like for like close ones, like building up some sort of like financial wealth or security for someone that you can like rely on. Maybe like a graduating student or something, getting them like prepared with this like cool crypto backup like on the way. Like it's kind of, I could see like, I don't know, a whole like divergence of like possibilities with that. I'm like something I'm like really curious about is like just you honestly, like how did you get started in crypto? And also if Chad, if you had like any questions on what he said, like
No, not yet.
okay. Yeah, but yeah, tell us about you. How did you get started in crypto?
Yeah, I have a background in video streaming. And so back in the day, this is before like phones. This was, YouTube was not bought by Google yet. And if you wanted to upload a video, you had to plug in your camcorder into a USB port and upload your video. And at the time, there was no native video technology like HTML5 video. There was Flash, so you had to use Flash. And so from that experience, I got into gaming because, around the time that I got out of video streaming, social games were becoming popular. And I launched a game called Farmville when I was at Zynga. It really opened my eyes to a lot of things when it comes to monetization on the internet.
Wow.
And that got me into like online advertising. And it was a time when I was in online advertising that Ethereum had just launched. So I was following it. And what was really fascinating for me was the DAO, that original DAO in 2016, major hack that caused a hard fork with ETH and Ethereum Classic. And that was just super intriguing for me. And it got me down this like rabbit hole that I feel like I'm still going down.
It never ends.
It never ends. It never ends. That's how I got started. Helped co-write a white paper for token created registries, or TCRs, which is a simple mechanism design of like voting, essentially, because of the interest when it came to DAOs. And then on the side, working with a couple of other people Amin Soleimani, Arjun, Rahul, and Lane. They are both all co-founders of Connext. Helped come up, and Austin Griffith as well, with Moloch, which was a DAO framework. And, we were just doing that on the side, and just learning Solidity and just talking about game design, mechanism design. And then what happened, it was like at the end of 2018, Vitalik, was YOLOing ETH to ETH2 researchers, because there were, there was a lot of like questions about ETH 2.0 at the time. And so we said there has to be a better way. We're like, okay, the next ETH Global event, we're going to just launch this DAO. I had just moved from Los Angeles to Colorado. So I was like, okay, let me help with all of this. And we launched the Moloch DAO in February 2019. So like my interest has always been with, coordination and with like emerging patterns when it comes to, voting and coming together. And with my gaming background, to me, it's just like we're just creating a game in the real world now. And that's really what crypto is, right? It's not just this virtual currency that's only available in this game universe, but it's like kind of inside out now. The virtual economy of currencies coming out to the real world. So now we're playing kind of real world games, which is super fascinating for me. And so that's kind of like my kind of stumbling down or falling down the rabbit hole when it comes to crypto. And so the kind of natural progression here with Collab.Land is, getting people together and seeing how they coordinate. And this whole beginnings that we're seeing when it comes to like social tokens is super fascinating to me as well. And I think of social tokens as its own kind of niche that's different than like DeFi, for example. Because, with DeFi, you have a lot of the mechanism design like written in Solidity, whereas like in social tokens, it's just a token and everyone's like, okay, what are our values as a community? It's very, very soft, or it's very like kind of value driven from like a human perspective, rather than it being completely like autonomous from like a code execution perspective. And so what I'm fascinated with is this like human coordination aspect, and can we reduce coordination costs? And that's really from like, if I were to take it up a level when it comes to crypto, that's what I see crypto is, you have a scarce digital asset that allows you to reduce coordination costs. So scarce digital asset, reducing coordination costs, money is a great killer app. And I think voting is another killer app. But now what if it's like money and voting are kind of the same thing? That's really interesting. And I think that we're just kind of at the beginning or scratching the surface of what that really means.
One, I think it's like really cool. Like you're part of like the Farmville game. Like I even know like like you're
yeah. Wait, so you help make Farmville, James, or what? What's the scoop on Farmville?
Yeah. So
That's huge.
was thanks.
Cool.
So I was in video streaming, and we had the Flash video player, and you had to like, upload video and transcode it. Transcoding video into FLV or the Flash video format was very CPU intensive. And so we had a startup, and, we had limited resources, and I just stumbled upon like AWS. It had just come out. I was like,
wow.
very, very first like users, a user of EC2, and we were transcoding video in the cloud, and all our competitors were like, okay, well, we have to buy computers and we have to rack and stack them in the data center. And then, you have to pay all that upfront cost for it. And then, for us, it was just like on a command line, boop, just light up a server and we can take it down. So you only, pay for what you use. It was like just mind blowing.
Wow.
in terms of capital efficiency. And so, startup was purchased. Actually, the startup was purchased because, Google had bought YouTube, and we're like, oh my gosh, like, what are we gonna do? Okay, let's like batten down the hatches and see if we can, get sold. So we got sold to Cisco. I went from a startup of like 5 people to an organization of 50,000 people, and I was like, oh,
Whoa.
like, this was kind of a jarring for me. And so I was like, you know what? I like the startup culture. I'm more of a startup person. So I did my requisite like golden handcuffs at Cisco. It was a great place. Everyone was playing Farmville because everyone thought everyone else was playing it because it was a game that was always up. So it was kind of like this definition of the Schelling point of like popularity. And so as it was growing, it was still staying up. It wasn't falling down. And so it just kind of kept on growing. And then from there, we're able to iterate and get better data analytics and be able to fine tune the game and, be able to do all that great stuff. And so what I learned, and the big lesson there for me was, you just have to be there and stay up, and you'll figure it out as you go. And this is where I think when it comes to this mass adoption in crypto, I think that there's a lesson to be learned there. The blockchain with built-in virality will win because it's going to be easy to get people on board, and the nature of the blockchain and just massive peer-to-peer network, it doesn't go down. That was really, like, to be honest, the kind of catchphrase for me when I was understanding and learning Ethereum was the meme of the world computer. And to me, coming from AWS, I was like, why do I even have to manage virtual servers? Why can't I just upload code? And like, that's all I want to do as a developer and make it super easy. And I worked on and off with the people at AWS over the course of a decade, and they finally came out with Lambda, which is you just put your code up. But that's basically what, doing things on a blockchain is, right? That's what a smart contract is. You don't have to figure out any of the infrastructure. And so that is really like the compelling thing to me is that, okay, you can just upload your code and people can use it. And so that was kind of the initial hook for me. And so this is kind of what I see in terms of like the future. You have a viral blockchain that makes onboarding super easy. Then we'll figure out, from a mechanism game design, especially with social tokens, what patterns will emerge. And with Collab.Land, we're beginning to see that, like these patterns of like fan-based communities versus like DAO-based communities, and the similar patterns of using the tool, which is pretty exciting to see. And then, how to integrate that into like fungible tokens and NFTs together.
What are you seeing more of? Are you seeing more DAOs, or are you seeing more of the other?
Yeah, so it's interesting at first, and I think it was this like confirmation bias thing because I'd come from the world of DAOs, and that was kind of my ecosystem. I saw DAOs first, but then so we launched initially on Telegram, and that was more crypto native. So that was, interesting, and that was more DAO-like. And then once we launched on Discord, things started taking off, and the profile of like the general user base was not DAO specific, but just token holders. And so it was just people holding tokens. And then it's now more what we're seeing is the rise of like more of these like fan-based communities. The whole NFT mass adoption thing, it was really interesting because it gives the creator that direct relationship with their fan. So I think we're seeing an extension of that with Collab.Land, right? So you can have an NFT and have a whole series of them, and then you can be in a Discord. And I think that's going to lead into like fungible tokens in terms of like social tokens. But for whatever reason, it's easier to, I think, as someone that's not in crypto that's just understanding what crypto is, it's easier to understand like an NFT because it's from a mental model, it's like a collectible rather than like, oh, we're printing our own dollar bills, and people are like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
You know, it's a little more heady.
Very. Okay, I got another weird one for you, James. So, do you see in the future with say music festivals, NFTs? Do you think maybe in the future people could go to say a music festival and they could do like an NFT scavenger hunt?
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of. So I'm working on a project to have a specific implementation of Collab.Land that's location based, and it's
Oh,
exactly for that use case, right? And so there's this company, they we're about to launch all these NFTs for events, and like there's a whole rich history when it comes to music and like scavenger hunts, and
yeah.
there's a couple of Wired articles I'll send your way. I can't remember off the top of my head. And I think Nine Inch Nails did one like a decade and a half ago.
No
And
way.
so, yeah.
Wow.
And you had to solve puzzles, and then you get sent to like random locations, and you got like things. And then, so I think it's going to be a thing, but they were going to launch, I think last year, but then COVID. And so now things are starting to kind of like warm up a little bit more. It gave us some time to flesh out the tech. And so we'll probably see something like that, where you'll have this combination of, the physical location and a digital asset. And it's this kind of natural kind of expansion, I think. I don't know if it's because of COVID or just the evolution of being online, where before it was you're online or you're offline.
That's a good point.
Now it's like blended, right?
Yeah.
So now you have your digital assets, and with crypto, right? Like crypto is a fully just digital asset, but it can have impact in your offline world, right? And so that in itself is this like connection between online and offline. Real quick, I have a quick story. I was like 4 years ago, I signed up for this like Bitcoin credit card. And so I can buy things with my credit card, but it would draw out of my Bitcoin account.
Interesting.
And there was this run up in Bitcoin, and I was just dabbling in it. And this is kind of like, where I was like, oh my gosh, this stuff is real, because I would go to Starbucks and I would use that credit card, and it would deduct from, my Bitcoin. And I was like, this is great, because
Wow.
Bitcoin was running up. And so it was like, I was getting essentially like free coffee once a week, but then now that I look back on it after a few years, that's the most expensive coffee I've ever bought in my life. So it's like, it's a time scale thing. But this is where I think it's like, okay, the online and offline world kind of like merge. And so you will see this with assets, but then you're also seeing it with like people talking about the metaverse, right? And then like, buying things and items so that they can kind of be in this, virtual world. So you'll see a lot of experimentation happen between the two. And I think it's this like seamless blurring and being able to fluidly go back and forth that, might take a generation. So it takes the old people that have done things one way to like go away, for the new people to kind of like the younger people to say, hey, this is more natural. And so I don't know if it's going to take a full generation or not, but I think it's inevitable. And the trick is like, okay, well, how and where is it going to pop its head out first? And I do think one of kind of the places I'm kind of looking at is like, for whatever reason, I think it's going to happen with music.
Yeah.
And music events.
Do you think it'll be as simple as like scanning a QR code somewhere, or is it going to be more like nuanced?
I think that there's a well-established pattern with the QR codes and cameras, and I think it'll probably start somewhere there first.
Yeah.
And so again, this goes back. You have to have a great, easy to use mobile wallet experience.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Once you have that, I think like game on, experimentation on, and we're seeing it, right? Like a year ago, like we've known about NFTs for a few years. CryptoKitties and Ethereum blew up at like end of 2017,
Mhm.
right? But and I back then I would think that they would go mainstream, but I would have no idea that 2021 or 2020-ish, depending on where you want to see your first signs, is kind of where it really blew up mainstream.
Yeah.
So I think it's just those catalyst events that you got to keep your eye out for, see who's experimenting. And so that's part of like, what we're trying to do with Collab.Land is like kind of force the future to happen. If we make things easy to use, then we're there, in terms of like a balcony view, in terms of what things are happening. When I was like back in video streaming, I thought, okay, I want to be clever and I want to like build for this specific use case because I believe in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not see YouTube coming. Like back then, it was crazy to imagine, because bandwidth was expensive, that you would give out free bandwidth and you wouldn't direct people to your website. You could actually embed the video in other sites. I was like, what are you doing? This makes no sense at all to me. And I didn't understand advertising economics. I didn't understand the trend toward like bandwidth and all of that, like Google knew about back then. So this time around, I'm like, okay, I don't want to necessarily be or try to be the cleverest, smartest person in the room. I just want to be able to position myself in a
Nice.
place where I can see what's happening and see what is bubbling up, and then be able to go there when it hits. And that's
Yep.
really kind of the vehicle of Collab.Land.
Amazing.
So that was a vehicle, Collab.Land. Like, was that could you like break that part for me more? Like when you said like position yourself to see what's happening as a vehicle, Collab.Land is like through social tokens, through like what's it look like?
Yeah. So the thesis there is like, you offer a great core service, and then you see what people are asking for. And if enough people ask for it enough times, then you implement the smallest lift feature and see what people do with it. So instead of like trying to, because I'm an engineer, like, and a developer, I'm like, okay, I want to get to the solution, but I'm now not trying to say, okay, this is the exact solution. Here's a DAO. This is how the future of work is going to be. Here, get on board. It's more of like hanging out in the problem space and providing just enough solution for people to tell you what the answer is. If you want to answer on the internet, you don't ask the right question. You like tell the wrong answer, and then people will tell you what the right answer is. And so in that way, this is like the product version of that, right? Where we just give the minimum like viable like value, and then and this is why we need to be really engaged and do things that don't scale when it comes to talking with communities, talking with people, and being as interactive as possible, and try to understand like these first principles. So one of the examples of that, because you're like, okay, with Collab.Land, why don't you just like mint tokens, have social tokens, and then just like do that service for people, for creators. And that was, when you look at it from like, that seems like an obvious answer, but when you talk to creators and you see what, at least the ones that are not like at the top 1% of 1%, but those that are struggling, there are a lot of like issues, before they have to play to the algorithm, and they have to like churn out content all the time, and there's like a lot of stress and a lot of kind of mental health issues that come along with that. And then if you were to tell that person, hey, launch a social token, and then they have to deal with all these token holders that are saying, make my token go up, how much more pressure would that be from a monetary perspective, right? And so we want to make sure that like when we launch a feature, or we launch different products, that it remains true to like this idea and core tenet of progressive decentralization, but that we have good guardrails. Because like right now, To the average user, people are curious about crypto, but think a lot of it is like scammy or Ponzi scheme or whatnot.
Oh yeah.
And so, we want to be really like careful and responsible with that. And we don't want to perpetuate that or give the tooling to allow, that to go on rampant. So there's a sense of responsibility and a sense of context. And so this is what I mean by like having a balcony view of like, okay, what's happening, what's working, what's not working. And you can only do that by engaging with the market, engaging with, and interacting with people and trying to figure out like pattern matching. What are the common threads across different types of communities and whatnot.
Can we go into more of like what the user sees when they're like just like the function of Collab.Land, the bot itself? Like so like I'm a user, I'm going on to my favorite artist's like Discord page, and then like what goes on from there, like in terms of the voting process and like engaging with this like token-based system?
Yeah, so there's an admin that will have the bot be a member of the channel. So we'll take Discord, for example, and what that community admin will do, the admin of the Discord server will do is make the Collab.Land bot an admin of the server itself. And then let's say that admin has 5 channels. And what they can do is for each different Discord channel, they can set a token address and a minimum. So you could almost think of it as like being a game designer and setting up this like leveling function. And what you do is you have, let's say at the one channel is 5 tokens, the next is 20, the third one is 100, the fourth one is 10,000, and then the fifth one is like this max tier, I don't know, like 100,000 tokens or something like that. Mm. And you can configure that all in Discord through the bot. The bot is this interactive experience all through chat. And you set that up, and then users can join your general channel in Discord, and they just do !join. The bot then sends DMs that user a link. The user clicks on that link and is able to attach their wallet address to their Discord username. And now what the bot will do is say, oh, this user has 500 tokens. So it will, based off of the config that the community admin, that channel, that server admin configured, the bot will automatically give that user certain roles that will just open up different Discord channels for that user. And so it's just, kind of automatic. And we're just using your token holdings as a way to permission different channels. So you can have combinations of like, fungible and non-fungible tokens and whatnot. So like with Abra, during the Earth Day event, which was in Discord, which was 4 days, they would have like the Twitch bot send out NFTs, but the NFTs that were minted were only notified in a special Earth Day channel. And in order to get access to that Earth Day channel, you had to like create a wallet. And so you type in the command, join, it says, oh, you don't have a wallet. And the bot would send you a link. Click here to, create your wallet. And then they would go through the onboarding flow, similar to like Near Names, where you just are gifted a wallet. And so we worked with the Near Foundation. They paid for the transaction costs for this and gave a user an account. And then once the user had an account, we would just kind of drop in. It's kind of like a goodie bag. The wallet, we kind of thought of it like the wallet as a goodie bag. When you go to an event, you like, oh, you have a goodie bag, and inside it, there's like an NFT. And so we dropped an NFT in the goodie bag in their wallet. So they had something. It's not just empty. And then because they had that NFT in their wallet, the Earth Day channel automatically got unlocked. And so like, oh, okay, what is this? And then so they would discuss about Earth Day, discuss about Near, because, from a blockchain perspective, carbon neutral, it promotes, things that are green, and it was consistent with the event. And then whenever magic moments from the Twitch channel were minted, then they would claim NFT. So it just gave them something a little more to do, and kind of like proof of attendance in a way, in a fun way, and that was kind of like a badge. And so Blanche is just planning to do something to reward those users potentially later on. And so you can actually have proof of those that are like, kind of fans, and because they've shown up to these different events, and you can kind of build off of that, these community primitives. And we have other communities that are using it, like Carcoin. So the West Coast Customs is a shop that back in the day they did Pimp My Ride on MTV.
Yeah.
Then,
oh yeah.
yeah, and then so now they have a show on Netflix called West Coast Customs, and they have their own car coin, and so they're doing things. They're doing things where you get the coin, and then you get backstage access, and then from the backstage access, you have a chance to get flown out to Florida to ride with will.i.am's custom car. And so they're doing a lot of great things where, it's not, so that's not like a DAO, and it's kind of like a fan community, but it's more like a brand media extension. The people that are in charge of the media have like this direct connection with their fans. So that's kind of another like, playbook or kind of, foundational interaction that we're seeing, because, when I look at social tokens and you compare them to like DeFi is like, okay, we're going against the banks, right? And, we're better than the banks. We give better interest and whatnot. With social tokens, it's a different thing. You're not competing against banks. You're competing against Netflix. You're competing against HBO. You're competing because that's where people are paying their attention. And so that's kind of another aspect that we see kind of Collab.Land going, where, it's not that like the tokens or the NFTs that you hold become your identity, but they're the things that you have skin in the game for. Those are things that you're paying attention to, right? So if I have, a holding of 10 different tokens, and Dorian has like 7 or 8 of the same tokens, I'm going to go, oh, okay, let me check him out, and then there's this kind of like social graph, not on my interest of hiking and, biking or whatever it may be, but by holdings. Yeah. And then those tokens that he has that I don't have, I might not know about. I'm like, okay, let me check those out. What are those communities about? What's happening there? And so that's where I see we, kind of Collab.Land kind of evolving to, across blockchains, across platforms. And it's just this like underlying kind of glue that holds these siloed platforms and users together, so that today it's Discord and Telegram. Tomorrow we might add, if Clubhouse had an official API, Clubhouse. And then 5 years from now, who knows what it may be? It might be, some AR, VR, social media platform, right? Yeah. And so we can all be holding tokens and evolve into these different distribution platforms over time, but still have that bond where it's us holding the tokens that have that bond together, rather than the platform being in charge of our relationships or being in charge of our linkings. And so that's kind of where I see this Collab.Land going as we extend to multiple platforms, extend to multiple blockchains. And I really do think, crypto was a kind of missing piece when it comes to like the internet, because the internet is like peer-to-peer, right? But how did we end up with like FANG, 5 companies kind of controlling the internet? And I think it's because we as humans, don't know how to best organize in a decentralized fashion at scale, because there was no precedent to do that. Yep. But now we have that ability. And so I think now with crypto, with that ability to coordinate, like I do think it's it's the internet getting out of beta. So now we can like understand, we have bandwidth, we have the devices, we have all the mechanisms to be able to coordinate. Crypto is that last unlock for us to be able to do that in a peer-to-peer fashion. And so that's why, like, I don't know where this is going to go necessarily. I have some ideas, but we have to test them out. And like, we have to have, you know, kind of contact with reality to see kind of what emerges and how this evolves.
Very well said.
Yeah. How would you love to see your project grow, and how can we and the community help with that?
Go to Collab, Collab.Land, Collab.Land. We have all the links there. You can sign up for the newsletter. There's links to Twitter and you know, all the other mediums and whatnot. And yeah, I'm available. I'm on Twitter at James Young. And so feel free to reach out. My DMs are open. And yeah, would love to just, you know, work this out together. I think is kind of the overall kind of thesis here. No one has the answer, and we're all figuring it out as we go along. I really, another kind of thesis I have is a lot of crypto, you know, it's meme based, right? A lot of things that go
Dogecoin.
on. Exactly. That's right. And so it's like, in a way, I think of crypto as performance art. And it's just group art. It's just group improv. And we're like trying to figure it out, see where we go. So yeah, we need community support as much as possible.
Okay, well, thank you so much for your time. And, you know, we really had a lot of fun, like having you here. This is like really awesome and really cool. And
awesome. Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thanks for expanding our knowledge and everything, James. And I love a lot of your theses, man. You guys are heading in the right direction, and people would be dumb to not look into Collab.Land. This is it's amazing. And your whole backstory too, with kind of how you started with like Flash Media and you helped drop Farmville. And maybe just one last thing to give context. How much money do you think you guys were saving by doing the cloud instead of like racking and stacking, you know, the server computers and stuff in the back? Like just maybe rough numbers just for the audience and stuff.
Oh, you save, you know, millions.
Wow.
Because what's happening is that with AWS, it's not only that like it's instantaneous in terms of like you can light up a server, that on demand aspect. It's that like as you grow, you're only paying for what you're using. So you don't have to buy a bunch up front, and you don't have to like do all of that. Like, okay, well, you know, I have this dead inventory, or what if my game goes down? How do I sell my assets? Right? It's just like auto provisioning up and down. The analogy with cloud computing to crypto, especially with social tokens, that I'm kind of seeing is that with social, you have to like build up a large following, right? You spend years or whatnot getting a lot of subs
to get the blue check mark.
That's right. And then you can light up monetization, right? So then people like, oh, what's going on? He sold out or whatever. With crypto, you are growing. And especially if the blockchain has virality baked into the chain itself, you can grow your token economy as you're growing your audience, similar to this effect of cloud. So I think that's really like what's going to be part of the game changer when it comes to like the influencer or creator economy. That it's going to have as big impact crypto as cloud did to like computing and startups and whatnot.
Well, you heard it here, folks. James Young, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you. We definitely would love to talk to you in the future. So please don't get too busy.
I'm here. Great conversation. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate the time. And the
thank you, James. Been a pleasure.
Thanks. And it got me down this like rabbit hole that I feel like I'm still going down.
It never ends.
It never ends. It never ends.